Hey, have you bought PS4 already? It's in second week. And are you have you bought your Xbox One? Well, it's already almost a week. Well, in this case, I'm going to open up this question outright. Is it the hardware that makes the consoles shine, or is it the games that are actually going to be released on the console that makes it stood out to one another? That really is the question for me. Now we are in the eighth generation console. Now, and there are many people are actually prefer this X console because they have great exclusives on the first day, on the first week, on the first month, on the first year. With that being said, let me like drag you back in time four generations ago, 16-bit era, the so-called golden age of gaming. The Sega Genesis slash Mega Drive versus the Super Nintendo Entertainment System SNES, or if you're from Japan or in Europe, the Nintendo Super Famicom. These two these two consoles actually are like they're like equal when it comes to graphics. But people will tell you, and I'm going to agree on this. Sega have a more superior sound chip. But despite that advantage, you might going to say that I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but Nintendo won that round. You're going to ask why. It is because of the games that they have compared to the Sega Genesis, which have classics like Sonic, Shining Force, Fantasy Star, and all like Rise Star or something like that, are like this. But Nintendo is this because they have more third party games compared to, yeah, sure, they have almost, you might say, sure, they might be equal when it comes to third party support, but Super Nintendo's library stood out the most with Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and the Final Fantasy series 4 and 6, or 2 and 3, and many other the Secret of Mana series, and all of those. That if you're going to talk about the 16-bit generation, there are going to be like 50 to 60% that people will tell you I played Final Fantasy 2. So when it comes to the fourth generation console, Nintendo won it outright. There's no question about it because of their third party support. Well, Nintendo considered Square son of a bitch back then. So moving forward to the fifth, the competitors are Nintendo 64, PlayStation, which apparently have to be like, oh, the SNES CD, which actually got screwed, and Sony said, fuck you, Nintendo, we're going to make our console, and Sega Saturn, Sega Sanshiro. Yeah, Sega Satan Shiro. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of all. So here's for you. When it comes to when Nintendo approached that generation, went to a transition to that generation, they lost many of their third party supports. So thus, despite that they have the um, bit advantage, considering that they are 64-bit, they don't have much games for their console. Yeah, they have Super Smash Bros., GoldenEye, Mario Kart, Mario 64. But when it comes to library, they are trampled. The Nintendo 64 is trampled by the PSX. And PSX, when it comes to hardware, despite they're just a 32-bit console, when it comes to graphics, to sound, it's almost like a perfect storm because they have a very crisp hardware when it comes to graphics and sound, despite the problems of the early versions of PSX. And they have great libraries. Remember, PSX have games like the Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, which really skyrocketed Square Soft to the top. Games like Xenogears, it's also from the PSX, and they have tons of third party games that really stood out, like Konami Seikuden, Artisus, Persona 2, and many other. Sure that Sega also have a console of their own, which is unique compared to the PSX. They have games there like let me think, Sakura Taisen, which is not released outside of Japan, but when it comes to their games like Shining Force, I mean Shining the Holy Ark, and they also have games there like Grandia and Lunar, the Lunar Eternal Blue and the Lunar Silver Star Sword. But in all of that aside, the game developer for Game Arts actually made a complete CD of the game for the PSX, which again will tell you how powerful the console of the of Sony's PSX is. They really won that round, landslide. To the sixth, and let's proceed to the sixth. The competitors are Sega Dreamcast, PS2, the incoming Xbox, and the Nintendo GameCube. Sega, despite being first when it comes to console to releasing the sixth generation console, they lost because of the hardwares of the PS4, PS2, and the Xbox. And as for the Nintendo GameCube, the problem still looms within them to Nintendo 64. They lack third-party support, which they really pissed off, and there are games actually that was ported there and downgraded because of it. PS2 and Xbox One have like the graphics and sound advantages in any hardware possible compared to for the Nintendo GameCube / Dolphin. But when it comes to that, Xbox is only second to the PS2's hardware and also third party game third party support. Again, third party support because of the hardware of the PS2, which really elevated them to the top. And consider this: PS2 is the most sold console in the video game world. It's on top. If you don't believe me, I'm going to put in the description box on how many they sold for the past 13 years. And Nintendo DS is considering second, but we're not talking about handheld consoles here. Then forward to the seventh generation, the Wii U, the Xbox 360, and the PS3. Again, Nintendo Wii, despite having these innovations, they're still having problems with the third party. Third party. That is why there are just less games out there for the Wii. And also think about this. Think about this. The only games that stood out, despite aside from the first party games for the Nintendo Wii, the only games that stood out there was the games that were suggested by the Operation Rainfall. The three games: Xenoblade Chronicles, The Last Story, and Pandora's Tower. That shows you how fucked up third-party support the Wii U, and these third-party supports went to PS3 and Xbox 360. These two consoles boomed during the Call of Duty, the Call of Duty mania, which is still today, thank you. And PS3 and Xbox 360 are really close when it comes to third-party support and hardware. They ran pretty well. And no, I'm not going to talk about the hardware itself because I don't talk that geek. I talk nerd game talk. I can speak Klingon little, but that doesn't mean but that does not imply that I can speak tech. Now, to this generation, the 8th generation console, the question is, will Nintendo fix their third-party support fucked up? Because People are saying that Nintendo is the only legitimate 8th generation console. There are actually games for next year for the console that will run on 1080p on 50 frames per second. Now that is a really a really quantum leap when it comes to hardware. No doubt about it. But games, hardware, games, third party support, where are they? These third parties are now developing for the PS4 and supposedly the Xbox One. Now PS4, despite the some of the games that are running on the 720p and 30 frames per second, they're still going to buy it because there are more games that are going to be made there, and game developers are going to ride on that wave as long as they can in order for them to make money. And now my answer will be in the question is the hardware that makes console shines bright, or is it the games that makes the consoles do most? I could say it's a perfect storm of both. If you can do it both, the console will really stand out because it really needs the support it needs. It really needs the games that really going to work with a console. That is pretty much it. Anyway, drop a comment there, send a PM right there, and I'm going to drop my Skype ID right there just in case that you want to talk about this. I'm not kidding. I'm not going to bite you or anything. Anyway, I'm Homer and I'm going to shave my mustache really soon. Anyway, can you shave your nose hair with a razor blade, please? That's kind of weird, right? Alright, see you later.